Alex Mullen to make it 3-1 in the grand final. Puts in the penalty and wins the grand final for Campbelltown City.
No one attacks it, comes back up to Panenkas. It's a goal! It's top! Oh! And then Talisman's got another one! Harry City back quick. Jake King! Oh, what a shot! My goodness me! Oh, can't teach that sort of stuff. Sends it in, keeps it low, and it's gone in! It's gone in! LA Uni have scored! In time added! Force get under control, and the shot from Tolland! Salisbury into a 2-0 up!
Neil Butler with another chance, it's 2-1 to Playford! Persistence has paid off for Playford!
Long touch the keeper, puts it into the bottom corner. Beach gives him a shoulder after that as well. He's lost his clean sheet, and he's lost his head with a red card! David, this is massive!
They go sing and the geezers too, yeah, we're doing this thing.
Hello, welcome to episode 23 of One Game at a Time. I'm Seb O'Neill, and as always, joined by my three co-hosts, starting with the producing, Mark Talbot. How are you? And my question to you for this week, it's a football-related one. What is your favourite club logo?
Evening, Seb, and thanks for having me. I'm well, and there's only one answer, and that's the Arsenal club logo. Done.
Okay, boring answer.
What did you expect?
Just something fun.
Yeah, evening, Seb. It's good to be back this week on the show. It's an interesting question. I don't know. It's a hard one because I think obviously you like the clubs that you support and stuff, but I think there's some interesting ones like the Wolves logo. I always thought that was kind of interesting. What else? The Fiorentina one. It's such a weird shape of a shield or something that I thought, it's quite random but very cool, and not many teams use purple. So I'd say Wolves or Fiorentina.
No, that's a good choice. And finally, to you, David.
It would be my club, Queen's Park, without a doubt. Second favourite would be the Scotland national one, because it's just, I guess, something you look at when you're a 4-year-old kid or a 5-year-old kid, and it means an awful lot. Then there's the funny ones. Morecambe, I think, have a shrimp on. Don't Morecambe have a shrimp on their crest? And I quite like the ones that have a bit of history. I think Portsmouth have got crescent moon and a star, which relates to I think it relates to the heraldry arms of the city of Portsmouth, which goes back to Henry VIII's time. I think there's a connection there. So, but Queen's Park and Scotland first and foremost.
Okay, so boring answer, but you ended off with a fun answer, so I'll forgive you. Mark, you're not forgiven because you just said your favourite club. That's fine.
Maybe all right. I could give you another one that I like.
Okay.
And that's the mighty Wembley Lions. I like their logo. It's a nice lion. That's a good one.
I thought of another one, Lincoln City.
Yeah,
they've got the Lincoln Imp. Yeah. That's a cool one.
See, it was a good question. If you don't answer just your favorite club, Mark, it worked well.
Did you not ask favorite club logo?
You like the most, as in like the look of, not just like what you like about it.
That's all that matters. My favorite one.
It's difficult to go past the team you've supported since you were a wee
exactly.
kid, right?
That's exactly right.
But maybe the more. I'm not being critical of you here, Seth.
No, you're right. I should have phrased it differently, maybe.
Maybe the more pertinent one is: does any of us have a local club logo that we are particularly fond of?
Oh,
I quite like the Patriots. I quite like Playford Patriots.
Playford,
It has a little bit of meaning to it as well. It's got the crown on there representing the British influence there, sort of thing. It's got the rocket representing the RAF base. It's not that far away. So there's a little bit of history there as well. And I like a logo that's got a little bit of meaning. I did design one for a Sasso club, and they still use it. And I put a bit more thought into that than I normally would for things in general. So maybe if we could pick a local one, I'll go for Playford Patriots. I quite like theirs. Has a bit of meaning.
I'm going to stick to the north, and also a similar fashion as well. I do quite like Salisbury United's logo. It is very sort of historic in the same way. I'm a big fan of almost an older badge compared to, newer badges. I think is very, very cool to still see clubs keep. Mark, you can have a more fun one this time, or are you just going to name a former club?
Actually, it's a bit hard not to name a former club. I've got 7 of them, Seb. I actually like the new redesign of the Seaford logo. They redid it this year. And they've gone modern, old school. And I actually do quite like that. And I'm actually just looking at it now on my other screen. I do quite like the way they've re-imaged that logo.
Yep, no, that is a very, very good choice. Alessio, finally to you. And this one, you can't pick the club you play for.
Yeah, I'll have to go Sturt Lions. I think it's a very cool badge that it's got the connotations of the Netherlands and the Dutch influence. And I think it just like works pretty well. And they've kept it this pretty similar for many, many years. And their kit colours never change. Home and away, always blue, always orange from the day they started. So
the kit colour hasn't changed. Their kit hasn't changed.
Yeah.
You know, I actually disagree with you there, Alessio, because I think they plagiarised that lion on their crest from the Dutch shirt. I don't think that's an original idea. I'm pretty sure the Dutch crest of a few years ago looked like that, and they just copied it. But I could be wrong.
No, I think it is. They probably just changed the stuff on the top because I think it's a circle logo, and I think the Dutch don't have a circle logo. But otherwise, it's pretty cool. They got the connotations from that, and it's a pretty known team. Like Sturt Lions is like an animal and a play. It's very not you don't really see many animals like that with a name and an animal. It's always like Adelaide someone, but it's never really the location and the animal. But I don't know. It's a good one.
Thought you were going to say you don't see that many lions around Carigna. But the other one we should probably just give an honourable mention to is the Cove one, because one of our guests had designed that one. So collectively, we must say that that's probably one of our absolute favourites. Just to keep Danny Greystone on side.
Absolutely. All right, we'll move on to our picks of the week. And you know what, Mark, you can go first.
Oh, thanks. Appreciate that, because I can't even remember what mine were. Firstly, I wanted to quick shout out to young Mitch Call, who got injured on the weekend playing against South Adelaide, and it was a nasty injury. We're not going to show the footage of it, but we wish him a very speedy recovery, and everyone that helped in the situation, a big thanks to them to make sure that he is seen too quickly in that. So we do wish that he has a very quick recovery, and hopefully he gets through that, because it's never easy coming back from an injury or obtaining a serious injury. So fingers crossed there. My other one is the big ones, really. So now fully promoted. They took with a win on the weekend, so they've now gained promotion, and they can't lose top spot. And West Adelaide are minor premiers in the WNPL as well, all confirmed on the weekend, with still in the men's, I think 4 games to go, and the women's are still 3 or 4 games to go as well. So getting them early this year, basically. And congratulations to both West Adelaide WNPL and Sturt Lions on their promotions and effectively minor premierships.
Yeah, absolutely. And very, very exciting, I think, for Sturt particular, being able to be back in the NPL. I'm sure we'll talk about that a bit more in a bit. I'll go next. Since we last recorded, we found out the new Adelaide United women's head coach, Theo Tsunis, will be appointed as soon as he is done with West Adelaide in State League 1 for this season to the A-League women's job. Very, very well deserved, has been around for quite a while. Probably not someone we would have expected, I think. I mean, talking to, people we know, and probably not one of the names that was thrown around as even a suggestion, but an interesting one. But I think a good appointment in the end. And I guess, David, I'll go to you on this one. How do you see it?
Yeah, well, I would agree with what you've just said. I guess he wasn't the name that we were all collectively expecting, but I don't think that necessarily means that it's not the right choice. And he's done well with West Adelaide, hasn't he? And I haven't really got anything to add. Just not the name we were sort of expecting, and but hopefully he does well and carries on the good work that was done by Mr. Stenter beforehand.
I guess, Mark, just going on to you quickly on that. Like I said, probably not a name we expected, but Still, just an interesting one, I think, as well, because he's only been at West Adelaide for, I think, even in West Adelaide statement, he's only been there for half a year as well. So pretty short term he's been there. Was at Para Hills the year before, but has, as I said, a lot of experience with senior coaching and also youth coaching as well.
Yeah, look, I really like the appointment. Yes, it was a bit of a left field decision, well, what seemed to be a left field decision for all of us on the outside, but great decision. And yeah, he was at West Adelaide, obviously only a short time. Para Hills, he got them promoted a couple of years ago. So he's got the pedigree, he's got everything needed. It's just a matter of obviously translating that to the women's game, which we know is always it's always a different kettle of fish to obviously coach from the men's to the women's, and he'll bring different traits that Stenter had, but I'm sure he'll continue the same in the same vein and continue to push the Adelaide United women's team and the game in general further, because I think he's a really good appointment. I really like watching his teams play. So yeah, I think it's a really good move.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as we spoke about last week, it's a very good era.
Local.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that point. Alessio, anything to add?
No, I think it's an interesting one as well. I know talking to a couple of women's players, they didn't know that if he had any women's previous coaching roles, so it'll be interesting to see how he takes that approach. But again, it's good to see a local take the job up, and we'll see what he can do with this very talented squad.
Yeah, absolutely. Very much looking forward to the upcoming A-League women's season, especially with the Adelaide United after they did last year. Alessio, I'll go right back to you. What are your picks?
I've got 2 picks this week. Both of them happen to be in red, which is a good that I'm wearing this today. But I'll first go to the Hills derby that was over the previous weekend. I didn't get to catch up with you guys during the week last week, but there was some interesting stat lines and the very important games for both of the sides. This one was the first team game where Oscar Knight scored a very good goal early on there, pouncing on a mistake at the back for Hills Hawks. But in the first team, I've got to say it was a very tight contest. Although Mount Barker did capitalise on a couple of mistakes at the back for Hills Hawks, I would have said that Hills Hawks probably had the most of the possession. They just really couldn't get anything put together in the final third, and they just let themselves down at the back. In the reserves as well, Mount Barker won 2-0 in that one. And I think it was pretty one-way traffic that game. I'm not sure if they had a shot on target Hawks against our keeper, but their keeper pulled off about 5 saves in the first half that were all on target, on goal, and I would say a couple of them a bit too close to him, to my liking, but he made the saves at the moment that counted, kept him in it till half time, and then we finally got over in the second half, and it was important wins for both of them, because I'm not sure if I mentioned it on my little clip last week, but Mount Barker side, since the Federation they've entered, had never beaten Hawks at the Hawks Nest in any grade in any of the leagues that they had both shared since that time. So both the reserves and first team being the first teams to ever do that. It was great to see both clean sheets for the goalkeepers as well, which was also very good to see. And yeah, it puts Mount Barker, the men's, I'm pretty sure they're 1 goal difference less than Noarlunga now. So they're still on the bottom, but they're equal points with Noarlunga, and I think 2 or 3 points off. No, 2 points off Hawks now as well. So there is a chance for a bit of movement to still happen. But yeah, it was a very important win, and one that has been coming for a long time for some of these players who've been there a while. My next pick, though, Seb, is a very emotional one for me. Seeing my cousin score his first senior goal in the NPL. I'm sure it's going to be up for goal of the week, he was telling me as well. But yeah, no way better to get your first ever senior goal. And I think he would have got man of the match from that game as well. Put 2 crosses in for headers in the first half. I'm sure David and Mark, they've been on a few of his games where he's taken some of these corners and free kicks, and he's put them right on the dime every time. So they all came together in this game for him. And yeah, I'm so happy and so proud to see him get off the mark and put his name on the scene out there, and show they could do it with both feet. I mean, you saw one of those crosses with his right and the free kick on the corner with his left. And from growing up, he started out as a right footer, and to be able to do that on both feet is just unbelievable feat. And yeah, I'm so happy. I did mention to him, though, took him 21 games to score a first team goal. It took me only 15. So I had a little one up on him there. But he obviously did this all. He made his debut at like 17, and he's played about 20 games by 19. So he's beaten me in that regard. But again, yeah, very happy, and my nonna was happy as well to see it. He could replay it a million times on his YouTube compared to the video clips that I send him that he doesn't know how to rewind. So he was happy to see that a few times. But yeah, that's my picks for the week.
No, absolutely. Very, very good to see. Mark, you did forget something, which you can add now.
I did. Yeah, I did. On the weekend, Port Pirates had a past players day, which we caught up with the Port Pirates coach and captain last week, and we did mention it. And we did play, Port Pirates played against Northern Demons in a past players day, which was an absolute great laugh. Some cracking players from both sides and players that I haven't seen for a long time. When you've got the likes of James Skeffington playing, Colin Allegich, Kerry Allegich as well was playing. Just an absolute cracking day, and I highly recommend clubs. I know Metro did one with FK Beergrad earlier this year. Highly recommend teams do things like this, and as you can see there, and just some absolute cracking players from both sides out there. There's the likes of Brenton Agars, Kieran McFadden, who's also a Pirates legend. And Anthony Fasciano from Northern Demons, who is, I think he played for 300 or 400 games for Northern Demons alone. So just an absolute cracking day. And like I said, any club that has got the ability to do it, highly recommend it, bringing those players back. Like I said, Metro did it. And I was chatting with a couple of Metro players that actually played in it and said it was a great day. So clubs out there, if you're listening, get onto it, get your players, old players back in just for the day. It's great fun. And it does really allow the players to catch up and relive some of their best moments. Highly recommend all the clubs to do.
And did you relive any of your best moments out there, Mark? Did you play well enough that you might get a starting berth next year, or how did it go for you?
Well, I'll get a call up for a past players day next year. Made one, end up going in goal for 10 minutes at the end of the game. Made a save off Ryan Weir, who played for both Pirates and Northern Demons, along with a few of us actually in that lineup in both sides. Made one good save and put in one good cross to one of our fellow commentators in Connie Komitsis, who played as well. He blazed his volley over the bar, but beautiful cross in from me playing at left back. So, but no, great day. Like I said, clubs need to do it. I tell you what, it's so good to have the players back in and they talk to the younger players and things like that. It's just brilliant.
No, absolutely. It was, when I got to watch you at Playford, Mark, was very much a fun time, mainly because I got to heckle you and you're
exactly.
But that's
what it's all about.
No, very, very enjoyable. David, finishing off with you, what picks do you have for us?
Okay, the first one I'll have is my Ellis Park experience. And during the second half, there's a lot of Pirates that convene in the gum trees above the uncovered section where you do your commentary and where the camera operator is. And I was standing there through much of that second half, and I felt, little droplets on my hair, and looking down, I could see they were just like leaves and gum nuts or whatever. So I didn't pay much attention to them, but it didn't stop. And then as the afternoon wore on, I had occasion to touch my hair and realized I was just sapping wet along the top. And then I glanced down at my notes, and there was guano, which is the posh word for bird or bat droppings, all across my notes. So I actually stopped commentary for about, a couple of minutes, which doesn't seem long, but I had to try and clean myself up a little bit. I was in an absolute state. And have you got the little bit of commentary that you want to play there, Seb? And I've just gone a little bit quiet there because a bird's had a wee accident on me. And on my notes. Such is life. They say it's good luck, but I don't feel very lucky. And I really didn't. It was I was in a state. It was all over me, absolutely all over me. And I had ignored it, as I say, because I thought it was just leaves, and I was just in an absolute state. I've washed the clothes twice. Guano's full of nitrogen, which makes your hair go blonde. So we'll see in about 3 weeks if I get blonde streaks in my hair. if there's any long-term effect. And my second pick is that I had written an article for Front Page Football, Australia's premier online magazine, on the 1985 season. And the reason I picked that was, I guess it's an anniversary. So 40 years ago, it's also a season I remember. I'm old enough to remember the year 1985. I wasn't living in Australia at the time. It's a 10-minute read. It covers the Phillips Cup, which was the Australia Cup of the time. That Australia Cup kicked off the season. There was 32 teams involved in that. There were 24 teams in the NSL at the time, and then the top teams from each of the states that were involved in the NSL, which at the time excluded the likes of, well, obviously New Zealand, but also excluded Western Australia, took part in the Knockout Cup competition. The Adelaide Croatia Raiders were in that. They beat West Adelaide and Adelaide City in their cup round games and got to the quarterfinals where they were beaten by Sunshine St George. It's, if you're interested in a little bit of history, a little bit of background, it's well worth a read, I think. I then go on to cover the National Soccer League, talking about the discombobulating way we often like to do things in Australian football. The final series consisted of, firstly, elimination semi-finals, then preliminary semi-finals, followed by minor semi-finals, then major semi-finals, then preliminary finals before a two-legged grand final. The competition was regionalised as well, so there was a North and a South conference. It kind of favoured the New South Wales and Victorian states. For example, Brisbane City and the other Brisbane team that were in the competition were both in the Southern League, so they competed against the two Adelaide sides and a couple of Melbourne sides as well. And then, of course, just to conclude, 1985 was also the end or the conclusion of the qualifiers for the 1986 World Cup. And in late November, Scotland hosted Australia at Hampden Park. They won that game 2-0. Frank McAvenny and Davy Cooper scored the 2 goals for Scotland. And I remember it very clearly because I was at it with my dad. And then 2 weeks later, the return leg was played in Melbourne. And Frank Arrock, for those of you who are old enough to remember Frank Arrock, the national team manager in that era through most of the 80s, I think he managed the Australian national team till about 1989, wanted the return leg played in Darwin. He was way ahead of his time, Frank Arrock, and he wasn't about the money and the income. He was about the success on the park, and he wanted the return leg played in a hot, sticky Darwin. And the football authorities at the time, the ASF, Australian Soccer Federation, declined that and said, no, we're going to play it on a mild night in Melbourne because we'll get a big crowd. And they did get a big crowd, but they also failed to qualify for the World Cup. Which, looking back on it, Frank Arrock was way ahead of his time and he was thinking along those kind of lines. So yes, if maybe Seb will put a link in the notes. I don't know how that fancy stuff works, but if you are Googling it, Google Front Page Football, 1985, the season of Live Aid, Back to the Future, and Australian football in a slump. Some things haven't changed, have they?
Perfectly put, David.
I was just going to say, David, off the back of that, is that how they've decided to pick the SL2 final series as well? Because it sounds very similar.
Yeah. Honestly, it's right in front of me. Elimination semi-finals, preliminary semi-finals, minor semi-finals, major semi-finals, preliminary final, two-legged grand final. And they thought by regionalising it, by having a North-South conference, they would increase crowds and lower the cost of logistics, such as travel costs. But it did nothing to improve the game. There was 250 people at one of the Melbourne games. 250. And even the second leg of the grand final, I think they only had 2,000 there.
How fun. Well done, David, on the article. Make sure that everyone else to go read it. It's a good read. Yep. I have read it. I normally don't read, but I read for you, David, so I hope you feel very honoured.
Thanks very much. Thumbs up.
All right, we'll move to the next part of the show. Now, it is time for the results of the past weekend. We'll start with State League 2 we'll go through both. Garn United beating Gawler Eagles 2-1. Adelaide Atletico and Salisbury Inter having a 2-2 draw. Port Adelaide and Northern Demons, the one after you, Mark, ended 5-4 the way of Northern Demons, and Elizabeth Grove losing 3-1 to Modbury Vista in the south. Adelaide Uni drawing 2-2 with Noarlunga United. Western Strikers a 3-0 win over Adelaide Titans. Hills Hawks at home losing to Mount Barker, as we previously spoke about. And Eastern United coming back to winning ways and winning 3-0 against Seaford Rangers. Mark, I'm going to start with you because you were at Port Adelaide, weren't you? But not for all of it.
No, not for all of it, but I was there for some of it. When I left the game, it was 3-3. And Northern Demons were 3-0 up. So huge comeback for Pirates to get it back to 3-3. Then it went to 4-4, and then Demons scored again to make it 5-4. And our guest from last week, Dom Trapreda, he scored the penalty for Pirates to sort of kickstart their comeback, really. But yeah, enticing game end to end. When it went to 3-0, I thought, oh, geez, it's all over. And then Demons just seemed to switch off a little bit, and Pirates seemed to turn on and decide to start playing, and they certainly played. And like I said, yeah, ended up having an absolute barnstorming of a game. And like I said, I left at 3-3, and it was all kicking off. So great day out. Shane Port couldn't get the win in the end for what their day was, because it was a brilliant day. But we knew that you can always get a draw, but the way things are going, neither of those teams really need a draw. They both need a win. So so quite an enticing game out there in the end. So did enjoy it.
Absolutely, definitely seemed like it. Did you want to touch on any others, Mark?
From the north, I guess the surprising result for me was the Gawler game. Garn getting the 2-1 win over Gawler. I don't think any of us picked Garn to win that game, especially the way Gawler have been playing of late. I mean, they have lost at their last 5. They've lost 3 of those, but that was one of them was on the weekend. But you would have thought they'd have enough to get over a Garn side that's sort of sitting in 7th place at the moment. So big win for Garn there, which does move them further away from Elizabeth Grove, sitting at the very foot of the table, and closer to Port Pirates, who are at 6th spot. And all it does with Northern Demons win really does close that gap into that 4th spot. They're now 1 point behind Salisbury Inter. So that league is quite enticing. Adelaide Atletico coming away with a draw, which does help. It kept them 2nd spot with Gawler losing. So bit of a surprise package for me with Adelaide Atletico, and a big game for them this weekend.
Yep, absolutely. David, I'll move to you to a little bit more at the south.
Yeah, one of the results, I mean, Alessio's already touched on the Hills Derby. That's my local area, so I guess I had a bit of an interest in there. And as I repeat often, I've had involvement with both the clubs. And, for me, I want Hills clubs to do well. I don't like to see them sitting second, bottom and bottom. So as much as there was a bit to celebrate there for Mount Barker getting that win, the reality is Hills football isn't in great shape yet, and it needs to get better for me. Just a quick note, I'll just name some players here. Connor Hudson, Brodie Dowling, Thomas Withnail, Michael Smallridge, Gabriel Bowring, Dylan Wayland and William Smith. All 7 of those players did their juniors at the Hawks. So it is a club that is focused on development of its kids and local kids as well. Another 5 players in the team or the squad that started the weekend all did juniors at start and come from the Blackwood area. So in terms of being a Hills club, I know I'm going to cause a little bit of controversy here. I just wanted to mention that I commend the Hawks and what they do for local football up here. They have a very specific focus on developing these kids, and great to see that many local kids playing first team football. I'm not sure how many were in the other team. I don't know. I'm not that familiar with the Mount Barker team, but just wanted to mention that. The other thing I wanted to mention was Adelaide Uni's slip up. They drew with Noarlunga 2-2, meaning that they dropped 4 points behind the leaders, Eastern United, who also won. So there's now a 4-point gap at the top of the table there. Of course, if you finish top of this table, it doesn't mean you're promoted in the odd way that we're running football this year. You can win the league and still not be promoted. Imagine that. But the other thing I was just going to mention quickly as well, Seaford did lose at the weekend as well. So they went 3-0 down to Eastern United. But Titans below them in 5th also lost, meaning there's a 5-point gap between the Seaford in 4th and Titans in 5th with 4 games to go, I think, now. So I'm wondering if the top 4 that we see now, Eastern United, Adelaide Uni, Western Strikers and Seaford Rangers, are maybe going to be, it's top 4 for finals in this, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking maybe that's our top 4 in the south now. for finals, because it's it's St. Seaforth's own hands, and there's a big enough gap to Western Strikers and 30 points that I would say that they have secured finals football already. So I'm thinking after this weekend, we're now the top 4 in that league are probably the top 4 that are going to be playing finals, even though there's 4 games to go.
Yeah, unless anything you want to elaborate on?
No, what other games was there in the South? I think that's about it. All secured off there from David. But yeah, I have been seeing that top 4 has been fairly evident over the last couple of weeks, and you can probably tell that in most of the other teams from those clubs as well. If you look around the leagues, it's most of those teams contesting the top 4 or 3 positions in those other leagues as well. So it's a bit of work to do for the clubs of Titans, Noarlunga, Hawks, and Mount Barker. I think in a lot of the grades they need to take a bit of a step up if they're to be a team that a lot of players go to. They need to show in a lot of other grades that they have something to offer, and they've got a bit coming up in the future for some of their players. But yeah, I think David covered that off pretty well.
Perfect.
Just a quick glance back at, sorry, Steb, just a quick glance back at North, just to do the same thing in the North. Modbury Vista, Adelaide Atletico, and Gawler. Now with 4 games to go there, they have a big enough gap that I think the three of them will be playing finals football. The 4th place is up for grabs, though, between Salisbury and Northern Demons, Port Adelaide maybe, and Gan maybe. So I think the top 3 in North are probably finals football bound.
Yes, Mark?
I was just going to say, with regards to the South League, a friend of mine and a Seaford man, Jack, he normally does a write-up on the Seaford game every week, because he goes and watches and he puts a bit of a write-up, and it's great to read, actually. I love reading his write-ups, and he covers 18s, reserves, and first team. And so this week, when I jumped onto his page to have a look, it was probably the shortest write-up I've ever seen for a Seaford game. And he wrote, this is nowhere, it was Seaford, 3-0 loss, that's it. Normally you have something to say, we did well in these moments and stuff like that, but it was nothing, which really surprises me, because he goes to every game. So I know he was there. And yeah, it was just that's it. They was clearly not at the races on that day. So
I'm backing on that as well. I don't know if it was in between the last podcast where they announced Andrew Calderbank till 2027 as well.
Yes,
as the first team coach. And they did mention in that post that all 3 of their teams were in a fight to make finals as well, which is, I think, a good thing to show for a team in the South who's been in there a while and is a long-standing club, that they're having progression through all 3 age groups as well.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, everyone happy to move on?
Yeah,
perfect.
I just want to see Hill's team doing better.
Onto the WSL. At Cove, Modbury Vista winning 4-1, a 0-0 draw between Western Strikers and Modbury Jets. Sturt beating Elizabeth Grove 6-1, and South Adelaide losing 2-0 to Adelaide Jaguars. David, I'll go to you on this one. I mean, we do say it every week. It pretty much is at the moment for the Women's State League is, will Vista take it? Will they slip? Will Sturt manage to sort of climb up against them? That probably is the thing we're waiting for each week, I guess, is the main takeaway at the moment from the WSL, with only, again, four or so games to go. Yeah,
I mean, I think it's Modbury Vista's to lose now, isn't it? They've got that 3-point buffer at the top. Their goal difference... Yeah, the goal difference is positive 49, whereas Sturt have only got 16, and that goal difference counts as an extra point, doesn't it? That's why goal difference can be crucial, and that's why it's important. Teams like Croydon last year, for example, the women kept playing because, you know, they still can have an outcome on, or an input in the outcome, if that's the right term, on the final table and where teams end up, you know. And so I think, you know, I commend Croydon last year and the teams that are a bit further down the state league this year for continuing, because they still can influence the outcome of this competition. But Modbury Vista, with that far superior goal difference, means that they really have to slip up twice with 4 games to go. And that's kind of unlikely. They've got South Adelaide this weekend, so you would think that they would get a win in that one, leaving just 3 games to go, and they need to slip up twice for Sturt to take the title. All's not lost, of course, for Sturt. They would get a playoff spot against the side that's second bottom in the Women's Premier League, the WNPL. Should I say the Apex Steel WNPL?
You don't have to say that, David.
Oh, okay, just the WNPL. But I mean, I haven't seen Sturt this year. I've seen a couple of these WSL sides. I haven't seen Sturt, but it's a big step up from. I mean, I think we talked about this last year. I don't think any second placed WSL side has won the playoff against the second bottom WNPL side.
No, they haven't. You're right.
The gap's been getting a lot closer over the past few years, definitely. As in the games have gone close.
Yeah, and I guess what works in Sturt's favour here is they're not that far off being the best team in that second tier. 3 points behind Mudby Vista, so they've got the best chance. They're way ahead of Adelaide Jaggers in third, for example. So they've just got to keep working at it. They've got Western Strikers next, so they've got to just make sure they keep up the pace. But it's out of their hands, and I think now that Vista, I can't remember who Vista have other than South Adelaide, but it's Vista's to lose, and they, as long as they win, as long as they don't slip up in 2 of those 4 games that are left, Vista will be playing in the WNPL next year.
Yep, and for Sturt, who we think at the moment will be interesting. We'll go talk about it a bit, but that's still who they're playing in that playoff game is still very, very much up for grabs. We'll move on to State League 1. South Adelaide having a 0-0 draw with Salisbury United and Matt Taylor getting sent off as well in that one. Cove with a big win, 1-0 over West Adelaide. Fulham 4-2 over Adelaide Blue Eagles. Pontian having a big win against Vipers 3-1. Sturt sealing promotion in the Premiership with a 2-1 win against Cumberland. And Adelaide Cobras a 2-1 win. A 2-1 loss against Adelaide Olympic. Before we go on as well, of course, Sturt got promoted. I watched the last 10 or so minutes of the game, just sort of, wanting to see the reaction. So I pull up the live stream. That isn't it. I pulled up the live stream and I was like, oh, that's cool. And then I'm like, oh, what do I see in the corner there? A big support from Alessio. The Lions are going up. So you were very excited, Alessio.
Yeah, unfortunately I couldn't be there. I was planning on trying to get there after because I knew that it was possible. But it was just, I couldn't be everywhere at once. I wanted to watch a Hills derby. At halftime, the results weren't really too favoured where I could go out and go to Sturt because I knew they were going to win the league. So, so I had to watch it on the live stream while I was out on Saturday. And I could see it coming a mile away. And the goals as well. Gonzalo Rodriguez, what a signing to bring back. He's got to be etched in club folklore now. He's got to have his own picture on the wall somewhere there in the club rooms because the amount of clutch goals and moments he's scored in is countless at the moment. And even the man who he came in to replace, Zoe Sakani, was in the change room celebrating as well. He had a major part in that promotion as well. So it was just great to see all round. And I'm sure we'll see them soon. Here's the first one.
It's just so good.
Even the second, wait for the second one as well. How precise his finishes. I mean, it was a 1v1 with a goalkeeper, but you can't get any more perfect than that where he placed it. And I was talking to him as well because I've been keeping track of his stats since he's been at Sturt, and he's only just ticked over about 100 games. He's already scored, I think, 60 or more goals for them. So I told him the next milestone's got to come in the MPL again, and he said, "Trust, it will come." And he put that one away as well. And I think we'll talk about Dennis last week, his goal to game ratio, but Gonzalo's has got to be up there as well. And the last time he was in the Premier League, I think he scored 13 league goals. So he's not just a one league merchant. So,
Mark, I'll go on to you.
Where shall I start? I'll start with South Adelaide. That with the Salisbury draw puts them out of relegation zone at the moment. So I think that's probably the biggest surprise for everyone. I think going back, I think it was 7 rounds ago or something like that, 9 rounds ago, they were bottom. Everyone had written them off. They've had some positive results. They've lost players. They've picked up a couple of players in the trade window. When I say trade window, the transfer window. I'm not a yeah.
Wow.
I've been watching a bit of. I've been watching the basketball, all the NBA. So it's with their off season and their trades. So the transfer window, probably they lost a couple of players. They've picked up players, but they've been saying that since then they've got 2 wins and a draw, which has now raised them above. And Vipers losing on the weekend has put them above Vipers by 1 point. So it's a real massive result there for South, coming up against a good Salisbury side and holding them out. So huge weekend for Souths. And it's not something you see very often is Taylor missing a penalty or missing, to be honest, in general. So, massive. It wasn't his day, that's for sure, but massive result for South Adelaide. And scarily enough, can actually, if things go well for South Adelaide and if Vipers can turn their season around, they're not in the greatest of form at the moment, but they could catch Cobras, who are only on 17 points. Vipers are on 14, so Cobras are still in that mix for relegation. It is a real fight for that last spot now. With Pontians effectively down, I think they're 7 points behind, 6 points behind Vipers. So a bit of work there for them. But it's that relegation zone now with Cobras losing. Again, it's really making life very interesting down the bottom 4 spots. Cove, 25 points. They're clear, safe from relegation. But those 3 teams now, anything's up for grabs. We've seen it. Had a few positive results, and anything can change.
Yeah, absolutely. David, I'll go to you next to sort of finish us off on State League One.
I feel it's all been covered, to be honest. I'm not sure what more I can add to what's been said already, but an intriguing looking battle to get that 6th spot that, as Mark said, Cove, Olympic, Cumberland, Blue Eagles. I mean, it could be any one of those 4, couldn't it? Or 2 of those 4, should I say, because 2 of them are already in the 6. But no, nothing much more to add than that.
Perfect.
I just wanted to highlight, probably we always talk about surprise packages, and in the NPL it's probably Croydon sitting as high as they are as a bit of a surprise package, but Fulham United are now sitting second in State League One. They've all been hovering around that mid-table all year, but they've just, again, quietly picking up points here and there. They've won their last 3, and they've now jumped to second above Salisbury on goal difference. The Fulham have got a huge goal difference and 16 goal difference compared to Salisbury 5. So that's again, as we talked about, a point in goal difference. So really, Fulham just out of nowhere, just going about their business and now sitting as high as second.
Alessio was 1 year late, just to say, from last year. He was his big call was Fulham. But sorry to interrupt, David. But I think, Alessio, your main point last year was that it was a team of young players, and I think maybe last year was the year they needed to gel, and this year it's come together. So you were right in a way.
Yeah, I mean, they only added some more youngsters. I mean, they I think, I'm not sure if it was last year, they had Kunavelis and Tom Love and a couple of those come in as well.
I think maybe.
But yeah, I haven't seen too many of them play too much this year, and it seems this young team has really propelled them forward. And they brought some greater talent in there. Habonimana as well has been great for them too. They have had some departures though. I saw Matt Mayo, who played a couple of games there, played from Adelaide City as well. I'm pretty sure was on Adelaide Atletico's team sheet this week. So they are obviously giving opportunities, and the ones who aren't getting them have been moved on. But I think this is a big opportunity for them to do something in the finals series, and it's got to be one of the toughest places to go in the finals as well. In the winter, the wind's swirling. I played 1 game there this year, and I reckon the first half the ball was on the ground for like maybe 10 minutes. So if they have a game there at West Beach Wind Tunnel, it's going to be a real tough place to go for anyone.
Absolutely. David, sorry, yes, you to finish off with State League One.
I was just going to add to what Mark had said and just mention that, Cumberland have also been one of those teams that's hovered around the bottom, but just been on a bit of a run. Now, they lost at the weekend, but that was to start, obviously, 2-1. We just watched it, so that was 2-1 from memory, but that's their first slip-up in a little while. So I just wanted to mention, as well as Fulham, Cumberland have been quietly on a decent enough run too. they're one of the form sides in the league. They've only, I think they've maybe won prior to that loss. Did they win 5 in a row, or maybe even 6?
Yeah,
have to double check.
Right, you don't have to. I was just going to mention that Cumberland are. They're on a roll, apart from the Sturt slip up. But that's not really a slip up when you're playing Sturt, is it?
Yeah, very true. Very, very true. We'll go on to the WMPL, only the 4 games due to the rescheduled fixture for the emerging Matildas Championships because of Football SA having a few players over there. Adelaide City and West Adelaide. West Adelaide winning 4-1 in a game which effectively sort of sealed the premiership the day before. They still needed some results, which we'll talk about in a second. Adelaide Uni and Flinders. Flinders coming out 3-2 winning. They're a big game for both of those two sides, and that's the one sort of those two sides are there and thereabouts in that relegation playoff spot. And then Adelaide Comets losing to Campbelltown City 3-1, which, David, was your game, and also where you got pooed on. And West Torrens Bacala losing 5-2 to Salisbury Inter on Saturday night as well. I'll sort of go first. I was at Flinders and Adelaide Uni on Friday night alongside Sarah Taylor. It was a very interesting game. I think, from memory, that was a very good goal from Jolie Dowling as well, by the way, to start off the game. A lot of the time it was Uni getting forward, and it was just the final third that wasn't really clicking for almost the entirety of the first half. And I think that's where Flinders, as you'll see, these first 2 goals coming in the first 20 minutes, it's where they managed to pounce pretty quickly. But then more as the game went on, Adelaide Uni came back into their groove. They had more opportunities. Mallory Mullen got quite a few runs in behind as well, which worked out well. But I think by that point, Flinders just had the confidence to really try and finish and take the game really in. Again, I think we talk about, every time we talk about Flinders, just Cote Rojas, the experience she brings. And she can pull a team from the depths. In all honesty, she can completely change a game. And she even scored a header here. I think this is that header here. It was a brilliant cross from Blessing Akpalu. And then Cote was just there at the back post, unmarked, and just sort of poked in. It was quite brilliant. And the cross, I think we spoke about in commentary, although I don't think the commentary actually worked for almost all the second half, so you wouldn't have heard us rave about it. But yeah, that was just outstanding. And then the late one from Uni, the sort of just a consolation in the end. 2 goals for Kelly Tataran as well since coming over from West Adelaide, which is good to see. So all in all, yeah, a good win for Flinders. And, it does sort of push them a bit further out of that conversation of that relegation playoff, but still in the mix when the likes of Uni and even Campbelltown and Berks are all sort of there and thereabouts. But at the moment, Uni sort of looking the most destined and possibly, just the team looking to having to play against what looks like Sturt at the moment in that playoff match. David, I'll go to you. As we said, you were at Comets, where you had some friends around you who just, loved having a good time, and your book clearly had a good time too.
Yeah, so the pages that were affected that have all my notes in this game have been removed and disposed of. So I have none of my notes from the day in front of me. But from memory, Campbelltown came out, started the stronger of the two. All the 4 goals in this game were scored in the first half. Chelsea Dauber opening it all up in the 11th minute with a shot from distance. She really is a wonder to watch, I must say. And I think I said in commentary, they've really strengthened right down the middle. They've got a great goalkeeper in Claudia Jenkins. They've obviously got a centre-back in Alicia Guineff. In midfield, they've got Madeline Laurel, who's just outstanding. She does drift out wide right enough. She's not in the middle of midfield. And then up front, of course, Chelsea Dauber. And those 4 signings, one in each of the 4 sections of the park, if you like, have really made a massive difference for them. But it was good to watch. Again, I find them thoroughly entertaining. Comets were a wee bit generous with the marking on Asada there for the second goal that you saw there before. Free header for her. And then Guineff scoring a header from a free from the corner. A penalty here happened very quickly. I'm not sure. I presume it's a trip on Chrissy Panagaris, and she was immediately to her feet and off to the penalty spot with the ball to convert the kick. Sent Jenkins the wrong way there. Comets had no Anastasia Willoughby, so I asked Mr. Porter as he made his way to the bench what the story was there, and it's not an injury or anything. She's just away that weekend, so unavailable. So I'm not sure that would have made a difference in terms of the whole game, but I wasn't sure. Obviously, a player that they would have missed. But for me, Campbelltown again just looked really good. I mean, Madeline Laurel, she's fantastic to watch when she goes down that left wing. She also did a little social media thing. I don't know if you guys have seen it or not. It's on that fancy Instagram. Yeah, it's on that fancy Instagram application that the kids have. But she did a day in the life of a professional footballer. It's quite good. Go and have a look at it if you can. But she's great to watch too. So they've just, Campbelltown just going really well. I felt a little bit for Comets, but they were beaten by a better team on the day. No goals in the second half, and the game was kind of done and dusted by half time. Was just going to quickly touch on the fact that Campbelltown have been saying to me, we're not going to make finals. They've been saying that for weeks. And I'd picked them to make finals a number of weeks ago when they were still bottom. The reality is that time is running out for them. They've only got 3 games to go, but they still mathematically can make it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, they've got NTC next. I'm sure they're capable of beating them. Can they sneak into that top 5 or not? Metro United currently in 5th on 21 points. Campbelltown 4 points behind them, but there are 2 teams in between the two, Flinders and Burculla. I can't remember who they'll play in the lead up to the end, but I mean, Flinders play West Adelaide. I know that they play them this weekend. So, if West Adelaide continue the way they've been going, you would think they would take the points there, and then Campbelltown could potentially go into 6th spot if the 2 teams above them, that's Burculla and Flinders, lose. So, interesting and exciting conclusion to the home and away season, I think, in the WNPL. Did you want me to? Do you want me to talk about anything else there, Seb?
You can continue on. There's only 2 other games, so.
What were there 2 other games?
Well, go with Adelaide City and West Adelaide to start off with.
Okay, so that was the Friday night game, the 4-1 game. There's really not much to report on that. It was 4 different scorers for West Adelaide from memory. I haven't got it in front of me. I can't remember exactly who the scorers were, but I think
one of them you could have guessed.
Well, Nina Yamada.
Yeah.
Nicole Blackett got one as well, didn't she?
Yeah.
Now I'm really stalling. If you've got some interlude music while I bring up.
Well, I was going to say I can.
I've got it now.
Okay.
I've got it now. I'll start again. Oh, yeah. So West Adelaide, they scored first through Nina Yamada, and then Nicole Blackett got the second in the 60th minute before Emily Hodgson scored in the 63rd minute. Florence Russell popped up in the 75th minute for Adelaide City to give them some hope, but Abby Burns crushed that hope with a 93rd minute goal winner. Here it is here. How was that for you?
That wasn't it, but I wasn't ready for it. No. What I was going to point out was for this goal in particular, Nina Yamada already having scored a goal. I think this pass is spectacular looking for Nicole Blackett. She's almost halted the whole midfield by just stopping herself from playing that ball and then playing at the right time to put her through. I think it's just magnificent. And again, if she's not at an A-League women's club, hopefully Adelaide United come season end, I think it will be a travesty because
it would be it would be a real surprise if she didn't make some kind of inroad into the national competition, wouldn't it? She's just been phenomenal, hasn't she? And Emily Hodgson as well, another Adelaide United player there scoring as well towards the end. But Yamada's been phenomenal.
Yeah, just I guess the last thing to add on before we move on, that game, Adelaide City, of course, losing means this weekend, to be honest, they probably are destined for relegation. But to confirm it, they if they lose to Metro, Adelaide City will be relegated, confirmed. So that is this Saturday. And again, we've spoken about it, but it's a very real thing now and probably a bit of a worrying thing. I think honest conversations need to be had at the same time because this is a club that has been in so many grand finals, cup finals, won trophies, had some brilliant players over the years. And to see a club like that be relegated, and I think, Mark, you said it, I'll go to you on this. You saw Fulham only last year, a couple of years ago. They were one of the pinnacles, having players like Fiona Wirtz and amongst so many others, to now not even have a senior women's team. I guess the hope is that we don't see a team like Adelaide City, not saying they will, but that going down the same road.
Yeah, look, I wouldn't think Adelaide City would go down that path that Fulham travelled and removing their women's team altogether. I just think that Adelaide City, they've just got to look internally and look at what's going on there, and just start making the steps taking the steps to basically fix what the issues are. They've got a lot of work there, and like I said, I don't think Adelaide City have ever played in, or women's have ever played in the second tier of the state. So, in all its iterations over the years, I don't think you'd ever see them playing second tier. So it is a very much a surprise. And like I said, there's issues internally. Decision makers need to have a look at what's going on there to make sure they actually start taking the right steps to rebuilding that dynasty effectively, because that's what it has been. They used to attract all the players from the A-League or the Women's A-League. They're not doing that anymore. They're unable to get those players. I mean, you look at the likes of the Daubers and the Hodgsons and whoever else would come back would always normally go straight to either West Adelaide or Adelaide City. That was the only two ways you would go. And now they're not even, Adelaide City's not even contemplated. Like last year, I think it was they went to Bacalla. This year, some of them have gone to Campbelltown. So there's clearly something wrong internally, and like I said, I don't think it'll ever happen that they'll remove their women's side. They're too big a club to not have a women's side, and we all know, like I said, they've never been out of the top tier. So it just gives them a chance to rebuild. They make some right decisions, and they could quite easily get themselves out of the WSL and back into the WNPL at first chance of asking. So. As I said, it's just a lot of work behind the scenes, need to get things right, and the decision makers have some big decisions to make.
Yeah, I was going to say, just to clarify, I'm not saying necessarily that they are destined for what happened to Fulham, but I guess that is sort of worst case of what we've seen happen to the club. And Adelaide City probably, at the time, them and Fulham have been at a similar pedigree. So I was just sort of, comparing it to that. Not saying they will.
Exactly right. They won't, but you're exactly right. Fulham were... We saw them for years at the pinnacle of fighting Adelaide City, fighting Salisbury Inters and things like that, and West Adelaide. And now, nothing at all, and they got relegated. They removed their side. So I don't think they'll get to that point with Adelaide City, but it's a very real possibility. They've got to make sure that doesn't happen and that they can continue with the women's side. Like I said, I think the amount of pathways that they provide at Adelaide City for their women's football is too great to not have it. So it'll just take some time, and they'll, like I said, I think they'll really push to get back up if it's confirmed this weekend. It's all about rebuilding, and they've got, like I said, get the decision makers to make the right decisions moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything else to add before we move on? Oh, sorry, Mark.
Yeah, before we move on, the only thing I wanted to mention was Salisbury Inter. Mm-hmm. They're sitting currently third, but form team at the moment, 5 wins in the last 5 games. Just quietly, they didn't start brilliantly. We have to admit, at the start of the year, they were near the bottom. They were struggling, and even Carl Maynard would say that they weren't performing well at the start, and it was going to be a tough season. And they've been brilliant this second half of the season. Like I said, 5 wins now. They're the form side going into finals football at the moment. 5 wins from 5. West Adelaide have only got 3 wins in the last 5. Comets, 3 wins in the last 5. So they're sides to really watch out for as we get closer to finals.
And this is what they do and have done, I think, for the past few years. Last year, they had a pretty poor start. I think last year, for quite a while, they were sort of sitting near the bottom 4, maybe even 3. Yeah. And then, last year.
They peak at the right times.
Yeah, and they're looking to do it again. I think it's tremendous, and obviously it's a system that's somehow working. But good on them.
It just means Carl knows when to get the team to peak at the right times. That's good coaching.
Yeah, absolutely.
9 goals in their last 2 games. 5-1 last week against Campbelltown and 4-1 against Metro United the week before. So not just winning, but winning well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. As you said, David, a very interesting and intriguing end to the season I think we have coming up. All right, we'll move on to the men's NPL, starting off with another big shock result. Modbury Jets winning 1-0 over FK Beograd. West Torrens Bacalla, another big one, 3-0 over Adelaide United. Adelaide Comets with a 2-1 win over Adelaide Croatia Raiders. Para Hills Knights being demolished, quite frankly, by Campbelltown 5-1. Playford not doing the same as they did in the reverse fixture and challenging Metro a bit, a 3-0 win for Metro there. And then Croydon and Adelaide City having a 2-2 draw. Well, Mark, I'll start with you, because where were you? I can only guess.
Where do you reckon I was? I was at Burkalla versus Adelaide United on Friday night at Jack Smith Park. So, yeah, surprisingly, I was down there. And you know what? It was the first half was fantastic watch. Absolute fantastic watch. Burkalla, high press, high energy, high intensity. And that was enough for them. They didn't even really need to do a great deal in the second half to have their win. Claston Thomas was a class above. The youngster was playing as a 9. Everything good went through him in the first half. Like every time there was a goal, he had a hand in all 3 goals. He was just his hold up play. He come up against Stanisic and I can't remember who was playing alongside him, Kasumovic.
Yeah,
I think it was. And mate, they couldn't cope with his body play, the way he was holding the ball up.
That's such a good finish. Slightly.
It was such a good finish. And I tell you what, he was top draw man of the match. Like, he was brilliant. But he had the players around him. They were excellent as well. They, like I said, the high press, the high pressure, the high intensity really derailed Adelaide United, and they couldn't cope. They had a lot of youngsters in, and they couldn't cope with Burkalla getting in there. They got in their heads. They really did, and they couldn't cope with that. The 2 youngsters in the middle of the park, I felt for them because they were up against 3 midfielders in Yates, Devereux and Welsh, who have all got experience, of all absolute quality. And you had Parhas and Blazovic as two midfielders. So it was 3 against 2 to start with. They were going to struggle.
I was going to say, it's quite funny you saying they were playing their youngsters, Adelaide United, considering they're an under-21 team.
Yeah, but Blazovic and Parhas haven't played. They compared to what they've normally got in the midfield, they are their youngsters. They are quite, because I know Parhas has played more reserves than anything, more reserves than first team, because they were missing the likes of Ryan White and a few other players. It did surprise me, and so overall, I mean, I could pick Adelaide United apart, to be honest. They were not good at all over the park, and they were outplayed. But there were some great signs. I mean, Harry Crawford didn't have a great game, but he was still up and down that line, still trying to provide something. And he was their creative outlet at right back for Adelaide United. But great result for Burkalla. Adelaide United pick themselves up and go again. And I could talk about Croydon and Adelaide City as well, if you like, because I tuned into and watched all of that game as well.
Do it.
So I tuned in after I got home from the short drive from Port Adelaide to Seaford. I tuned into the Croydon Adelaide City game and watched an absolute thoroughly entertaining game. I really enjoyed watching this game, and Passia John getting Croydon off the mark from the spot and his usual goal celebration. But it was a really end-to-end game. Hall had a good game. Margouche was man of the match. He was brilliant. Kilo getting his goal, and to be honest, I'm not quite sure where the marking was because there wasn't any. So he had a free header and a great header too, to be fair. And then Croydon's goal, Andre Carl off the bench. And this is what they've been missing. I know Trimboli's been doing a fantastic job, but watch this finish with the outside of the boot from there. Bang. And it's just like, that's you can't teach that. Like, that's just a natural striker's. That's his bread and butter. That was just absolute brilliant. But then they conceded straight after that. I think within 2 minutes, a Bucco special. Like, this goal from Bucco is no one's saving that. No one's doing anything about that. That's just absolute Nick Bucco class, to be honest. And he was brilliant. He controlled Adelaide City's game for them. He was excellent in that holding role, which he's now dropped into this year as he's getting on in age. They're like, okay, let's get him to dictate the play from a little bit deeper. He played brilliantly. And to be honest, like I said, I think Adelaide City probably, well, I know they felt very hard done by not taking 3 points because Margouche was just brilliant. He was pulling off saves left, right, and centre. So I think LA City will feel very hard done by not getting the 3 points. I did speak with Bucco and he said, yeah, look, we should have won that. And to be fair, if it wasn't for Margouche, they would have won probably 4 or 5-2.
Wow.
Couple of interesting selections in that game as well, Mark. Klimek only playing 5 minutes off the bench for Croydon. Brazzali not playing at all, sitting on the bench. And for Adelaide City, obviously the return of Bucco, but also Pat Karacha, who came off the bench after we saw him in a moon boot earlier this season. So it's a couple of big ins at a good time for them. And for Croydon, I mean, they had all those wins in a row and now a couple of draws that are leaving the coach to make some selection changes maybe.
Yeah, the one thing with the Brazzali thing is that when you got Bolmapur, who's been very solid this year for Croydon, I've actually watched a few of their games, and Christian Vivian, he didn't start, I think it was the first 6 games, and then he came in for an injury and hasn't given his spot up. He's been excellent at the back. He's played along the back. He played left back when he came in. Then he had to shift across the centre back, and no one's been able to shift him since. So he's been excellent. So I'm not surprised that Brazzali struggled because when you've got a side that's a very settled back line, like we said, Klimek has been missing, but Klimek, he's been sort of playing right fullback or midfield throughout the year. So I'm not sure if Klimek was through injury or not. Like I said, I tuned in, but I didn't get the finer details on players. But as you said, some very interesting players coming back for both sides, and now allowing both teams to have selection issues.
Absolutely. David, I'll go on to you. Going back to Ellis Park.
Yeah, back to Ellis Park and the Guano incident. But prior to the Guano incident, the men's NPL game was the opening game for this between these two teams. First goal came from Reece Thompson header from a Jack Osterstock free kick. Thompson's header was all class, perfectly placed. He rose a mile up into the air to get to it. In the second half, as you see here, Comets pulled one back. It's been credited to Jaden Labasso, but I'm afraid young Thompson taps the ball into his own net at the other end of the park. That for me was an own goal. I've watched it a couple of times back, but Labasso's got the credit for it. And then Jaden Labasso, who's man of the match for me in this one, scored a header here from a Minsoon Park cross. Beautiful little chip to the back post and another. Look at the placement of that. Daniel Vaughan's a big, not Daniel Vaughan. Help me.
Barbaro.
Hey, Vincent Barbaro at the other end. He's a very good goalkeeper, and beaten by the accuracy of that header was just too good. Labasso for me was great. Mavro Lombardos was very good as well. Interestingly enough, when I was listening to you there, Mark, you were talking about the press in the game that you saw. Comets and Croatia Raiders for me both sort of hung back a little bit. And I guess I was maybe a little bit surprised in that because these are teams that need to win. So I thought there would have been a bit more of a high press about their play as they try to get goals. I mean, Comets are still the second lowest scoring team in the league, with only Jets scoring fewer goals than them. I think Comets have got about 19, Jets have got about 16 or thereabouts. So really struggling to find goals. And again, one of the goals was an own goal that they scored at the weekend. So. But having said that, as we look at the race to get into that top 6, the form sides just now are West Torrens, McCullough and Adelaide Comets, and they're both sitting 8th and 9th. Campbelltown and Playford are hitting a little bit of off form and struggling to get wins. Playford have lost their last 2. It's not the right time of the season for that to be happening. But you wonder if maybe those, again, we talk about this end of the season, there's 4 games to go, the shuffling of positions and what will happen in these last few rounds and who's going to end up in that 6. But Comets and Burkalla just seem to have just be hitting form at the right time. So they're outside the 6 now, but it wouldn't surprise me if they snuck in.
Yeah, absolutely. Alessio, do you want to finish us off on the NPL?
Yeah. We did talk about the Campbelltown game against Para Hills, and maybe a couple of the other goals were pretty surprising as well. I mean, in that prediction, all of you guys picked Campbelltown, but I didn't pick him. I picked Para Hills after hearing a few internal discussions at the club that were not. It was a bit interesting week for them at training, and I thought that it might have compiled onto the weekend, but obviously not. They really started the game with some great pressure, and again making set pieces count. I mean, watching that game, I think David commentated against Croydon. Mullen had a few of these chances back post from set pieces from James in that game, but they just couldn't make them work, or they couldn't find the right ball at the right time. But in this game, the front three, I mean, they're all back. Now they're all firing. Marino getting a couple, Mullen getting a couple. Like the goals are back at Campbelltown, and they're really getting shared around now. And I think it could be down to a couple of changes at the front and a settled back line. I mean, the back line now has been probably the same for the last 4 weeks, or at least since Elsie's come in. And it's very experienced. I mean, Elsie and Marisic, and then flanked by Allwright and Leon Bruno. It's a very experienced back line. And finally, this was the game. I mean, I don't think all season that we've seen him score this many goals. So it's really good to see them finally get that underway. And they had a lot on the bench to use as well later on. Interesting, like this one, I think was credited to the wrong player. They gave it to Muradi, but I think that's Hussein who's tapped. Yeah. Or Armada, sorry, who's tapped in the far post. But besides that, I think it's good signs for Campbelltown. They're getting the most out of the players at the moment of this part of the season. And if it goes this way, they're going to start climbing up the ladder a bit more. But for Para Hills, I don't obviously watch a lot of the game until the second half, but it seemed that at the back they just really couldn't get it right, playing through, trying to get the team up. And I think they're a little bit worrying signs. I mean, I don't know how far away the relegation points are for them, but they've lost a couple of players now. They're losing the form they had, and even in games against higher opposition, they're not as close in it as we saw in the past. I mean, 7-9 did that game against Metro, even the first game against Metro, and other games we've seen. Playfield, I think it was, they had another one that was very close. So against higher teams, they usually at least perform well, even if they don't get the result. But in this one, it just seemed like they were all over the shop. So interesting couple of weeks for them. But yeah, good.
I'm just looking at the table now. Sorry, David. Modbury and Para Hills both on 16 points apiece. Croatia on 15 at the bottom. Yep. But then Comets now have a 9-point gap over Modbury in 10th. So it's bottom three. One of those bottom three will be staying up somehow. Yeah. But I suppose actually, Mark. Also, David, you go.
I was just going to say, I think I alluded to that in commentary. I said in commentary towards the end, Comets winning that, for me, they're safe.
Mark, I'll just go quickly. I think it would be poor of us not to mention Modbury having a big win as well over FKB Grad, a massive shock, but it's huge for them. It has kept the relegation battle alive, I guess.
It has. I mean, with the other two sides losing, even if they had a loss, it was still catchable. But with that win, it's a massive win for them over FKB Grad. FKB Grad will be probably kicking themselves because they needed that win to sort of overtake Croydon. So, but Modbury, massive win. They've been promising each week. They've never played poorly. That's the thing. They don't play poorly. Yeah. They've just been really struggling in front of goal, and it's cost them this year. As we see, they've only scored 16 goals. So it's not like they played poorly and getting beaten. They're actually in every game. They just can't score. And so, I mean, when you look at it, that's out of the three teams now, you'd have to say Modbury are probably in prime position to stay up, just purely in the fact that Para Hills have lost their last 4. So they've lost all the form they had. As Alessio and David said, they've lost all of that. Raiders, 2 wins in the last 5, but they lost on the weekend. So, and it's not any easier for any 3 of those teams this weekend. Modbury Jets have got Metro, Para Hills have got Adelaide City, Croatia have got Croydon. So it's that all 3 of the teams are playing against are all in the top 6 fighting for finals. Well, Metro aren't. They're pretty much guaranteed to get finals. And I think if they win this weekend, that confirms the title for them anyway. So they'll be playing for that, especially. I'm not sure if it's at home or away, but they'll be playing for that. But in saying that, Modbury have got a lot to play for because it's also I didn't mention it earlier, but Hendo's 300th. So he's not only is he playing his 300th for his boyhood club, but he's playing against the club that he spent many years at and was an absolute club champion at Metro as well. So it's quite a fitting weekend for him to play his 300th. So, but it's anything on, but it's basically one of those teams. Modbury, Para Hills, Adelaide, Croatia will stay up. The rest of them are all safe. Comets, Berks, they're safe as houses.
well, they're safe, but they're also in for a final shout too.
Exactly.
which
Yeah,
is quite
exactly.
funny. David,
Just want to make the quick comment that at the bottom of the table, Parahill's Knights goal difference is minus 18, and do you remember they lost that game to Playford by 8 goals to 1?
Yeah.
You wonder if that one game is going to be the game that's going to be their undoing for the whole season. I mean, it could potentially be, and just go back to the point where goal difference can be that extra point for you. You know, there must be that game must be playing in their minds a little bit, because that one game could be the one that costs them. And at the top of the table, just to cover off what you were saying before there, Mark, there's 4 games to go, so there's 12 points up for grabs. If Metro Stars win at the weekend, they will go to 45 points, which means that they can't be caught by Croydon in second, who are on 32 points. Even if Croydon win all their games, they can only obviously get to 44. So a win for Metro Stars at the weekend will see them win the league.
and it will also secure them qualification for the Australian Championship as well, which is a very big carrot for them to have. Just to add as well, Mark, you said earlier that the 3 bottom sides, not this weekend, but next weekend, Para Hills versus Croatia Raiders. So that will be a huge one.
That's a
and
decider.
that is pretty much, you'd have to say that's a decider there. I don't know what's happening there. But yeah, you'd have to say that's pretty much a decider. It's just me now. Never seen this before. Yeah. So that's pretty big, and I think I'm very much
the loser of that game is effectively that's them down. So whoever loses that game between Para Hills and Raiders, not this weekend coming, but the weekend after, I'd say that's them down guaranteed, and then it's just a fight between the 2 remaining teams.
Yeah, absolutely, but still very, very much looking forward to it.
All to play for.
Absolutely, and it's
all 3 North teams as well. So
I wouldn't. Are Croatia technically north? But
they're north of Grand Junction Road. They're north.
Yeah.
Okay, but Playford are
That's
in
how it
7th,
works.
so there's still a northern team.
I'd say 3 north ones to go down and 1 south one is already on the way up. But
yeah, well, Salisbury is still,
south are rising.
Salisbury is still there to come up, so
The south are rising.
not good for me. All right, we will go on to our predictions after having covered all that. Alessio, we will go to more games than the week before, so there has been a change in the table, I would imagine and hope.
yes, so if the scores from the last time I talked to you were only added to by 1, so Seb was on 322, I was on 320. David on 310, and Mark on 318. And with all the results, we had 2 perfect ones. Seb picked one in the WSL. I've got to find who that was for. And David had one in the WMPL. So the one in the WMPL that David had was 3 to Flinders.
Yep, that'd be correct.
And in the WSL, the one that Seb had would have been
2-0
Jaguars. Yeah. So a couple of good ones around. The worst league we predicted in was actually the
MPL?
MPL and State League 1. Oh, State League 1 North. We only got 1 prediction correct. State League 2 North, sorry. And that was all of us picking Mobile Vista to win. We didn't get anything else right in that league. But yeah, the MPL as well, not the best. David was the best in that one with 3 correct winners. So that puts the scores, though, a lot closer this week. That puts Seb on 337.
Okay.
Puts Mark on 331. Me on 332. And David on 327. So
can you read them
David,
in ascending or descending order?
that's the way that I write.
So basically 10 points between first and fourth.
Right, okay.
So
who's
Seb,
first and who's fourth?
337.
Yeah.
Seb's first, David
I'm
fourth.
second with 332.
Yep.
Wow.
Mark's third with 331. And
Yeah.
David's fourth with 327. So 4 points between you and third, David. 1 point between you and second, Mark. And 5 points between me and first. Or 7.
I'm winning.
But
Good.
very, very close. David had a great week. 17 points from him. Picked 4 in the State League 1, 3 in the NPL, 3 in the WSL, 3 and a perfect in the WNPL. So
Yeah, that's what I'm
brought
talking
himself
about.
right back in it.
Still not enough to climb the table, though, David. So just step up your game a little bit more. All right. On to predictions. State League 2 North. We're going to do Salisbury Inter versus Northern Demons. I'm going to go 3-1 Inter.
So I just brought it up. What was the fixture again? Northern Demons and who?
Salisbury Inter versus Northern Demons. So Northern Demons could jump Salisbury Inter as well, and big one for the finals race as well. Actually, if Inter can win this, but I've gone 3-1 Inter.
Okay, I'm going to go.
Wow.
I'm going to go 3-2 Demons.
Okay.
I'm going to go 2-1 for Salisbury Inter.
Now, I got hammered on the weekend for not picking Demons because I was in the Demons change rooms. So this week I'm going for Demons. I'm going to back them against Salisbury Inter, and I'm going to go 4-3.
And you're going to miss all the goals again.
Yeah, I won't be there.
In the South, Adelaide Titans versus Eastern United. Eastern getting a big win again last weekend after a bit of slow form, and Titans as well, just trying to see if they can close that gap to Seaford. I'm going to go with an Eastern United 4-1.
I'll also go for Eastern United. Titans need to win it to have any chance of making the top 4, but I don't think they will against Eastern United. I think Eastern United will be too good. It'll be 2-0.
3-0 Eastern.
5-1 Eastern.
Wow. All right, we'll go on to the WSL. Adelaide Jaguars versus Modbury Jets. This one where I'm just double checking. I think they're close, and they are. If Western Strikers, if Adelaide Jaguars can win, they just create more of a gap against Modbury Jets. I'm going to go.
Jags 2-0.
Okay.
I thought you were going to go straight away, but I was like, "Oh,
yeah, I was. And then you spoke, so I didn't know what we were doing. I'm going to go. I'm going to go a 2-2 draw.
I got 2-1 Jags.
I'm going to go for Jags as well. I'm going to go 3-1.
So 2-1 for Alessio and then 3-1 for David. All right, on to the State League 1. The Southern Derby. Cove versus South Adelaide. Mark, I'm going to let you go first.
I have this one ready.
Where is this?
It's at the Southern Soccer Facility where you guys were at only last week.
Correct.
I was there on Sunday. I was there on Sunday morning.
The finest scaffold in all of the land.
3-1
You should do this game, Mark. Good scaffold.
No, well,
good game.
I could do, but no, I've got things planned. No, I've got things planned on Saturday.
Boring.
I think my daughter's going to do a dance concert.
3-2 Cove.
3-1 Cove for me.
Ooh. Pick wisely, Mark. What is all I'm going to say to you?
I'm going to go 2-2 draw.
Yeah, I'm with you, Mark. 2-2 draw.
Wow. An agreement for once.
Yeah.
All right. WNPL. Salisbury Inter versus Adelaide Comets. A battle for second place in this one. I'm going to go Salisbury Inter to win 3-1.
I'm going to go into 2-1.
God.
What's your problem with this one, David? It's close.
Yeah.
That's why I picked it.
I'll go 2-1 Comets.
I'll go for another draw, 3-3.
He's so undecided. He sat on the fence. What was that, 2-2?
3-3.
3-3.
3-3, wow. All right, and finally for the NPL, your game, I'm going to imagine, Mark, you're always there. West Torrens, Ocala versus Playford. This, again, is another one where, they're on equal points. Playford having the better goal difference, though, and possibly could enter the top 6 finals if they can win, as could Ocala, depending on results. Both of them, actually, depending on results. I'm going to go Playford. Oh, no. I'm going to go draw 2-2.
I'm going Ocala 2-1.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go Burkalla as well, 3-2.
Where is it at again?
At Burks.
Ocala.
That's why Mark's there. Mark wouldn't be there if it's a Playford. Too far.
I'm going to go 3. Is it Playford, you said? 3-2.
Yeah.
3-2 Playford.
Okay. Very, very good. Right. As always, our predictions will be available on our social media pretty much when this episode comes out. If not, that was 3-2, wasn't it, Alessio? Just double checking.
Yes.
Perfect. All right. Done for another week. To the three of you, anything else you would like to add before we head off for another week? Some cup games coming up as well. Oh yeah, we should predict the cup games, shouldn't we? For
It's the one, yeah.
the one
The
that
one
will
for
be
this week.
yeah. Okay, then yeah, Croatia versus Cooks Hill United. Alessio, write these down because I wasn't prepared.
Yeah.
I'm going to go
I'm
Croatia
gonna go-
2-1.
I'm going to go Croatia 3-1.
It's utter guesswork, isn't it?
Yep. Hey, mine are every week. What are you talking
You're not
about?
too much about the Northern New South Wales NPL, David.
What are we tipping in this for? I don't know.
You got 5-6.
7-7
Yeah.
7-7 after 120 minutes, and Adelaide Croatia to win. Adelaide Croatia to win
7-6 on penalties.
4-3 in penalties. Can you get to 4-3?
Yeah, you have-
England women's team could.
Yeah.
7-7 after 120 minutes, and Adelaide Croatia to win on penalties 4-3.
And you were happy with that being on the graphic?
Yeah, absolutely, because it's utterly guesswork, and I guess it could happen.
I got 3-2 Croatia, but yeah.
A lot more realistic. I like it, Alessio. Okay, yes. Done for another week. Thank you to the three of you. Anything else to add before we head off for another week?
No. Shout out to Con Antonio. Shout out to Con Antonio from Adelaide Comets who came over and had a word with me about our predictions at the weekend, saying we never back them. Well, you just watch. I'm going to back you this weekend. I don't know who you're playing, but I'll back you. He's a big I see when he towers. See when he walks over and he towers over you. Like, yes, I'll do whatever you say.
They got FK Beergrad this weekend.
I'm backing Comets. I've learned my lesson. I don't want to be that frightened again.
Perfect. Anything else, Marc Alessio?
Yeah, I was just going to go with a shout out to all the people that have donated to this show. I think this is our first opportunity. I know David was going to mention it, but it's our first opportunity where we've used the funds to pay for our streaming services.
Yay.
So thank you very much to all those that have donated. It is massively appreciated. And we've managed to use those funds to pay for our streaming services for the first time. So thank you very much.
Yep, absolutely.
Echo that.
Alessio, anything to finish?
Come out to the games. Keep supporting the show. If you want to be featured, if you want to be interviewed, let us know. And if you have any trial games that are coming up as well and you want us to be there, let us know as well, because we're happy to promote it as well. And really be one of the only teams that could give you live updates from it as well. So make sure you get out, and we'll see you next week, and hopefully we'll have an interview for you as well.
Yeah. Absolutely. My camera's died and then come back at the last second as well. Yes, again, thank you for joining us. Very much appreciated to the three of you. Thank you as always. And we'll see you next week after plenty of more interesting results have come about. So thank you to the three of you. Goodbye for another week. Oh, sorry, David, you can finish us.
You haven't asked me what my record of the week is.
Oh, okay. Sorry. What's your record of the week? I do forget. My apologies.
This week's record of the week, tucked behind the Iron Brew can, is Human League, Louise.
Oh.
Never heard of that one.
I've heard of Human League.
Yeah, this was a cracker. Go and listen to it. This was a good song, Louise. Okay, that's it.
All right, you can finish the outro then, David. You do it this time instead of me.
Thanks. Oh, thanks. Really, I get to do this?
Yeah, you can do it. Absolutely.
Well, on behalf of the One Game at a Time podcast, we appreciate your patience with us for another week. We will sign off now, and we look forward to seeing you around the grounds, and if not, on the podcast next week. Adios.
Alex Mullen to make it 3-1 in the grand final. Puts in the penalty and wins the grand final for Campbelltown City.
No one attacks it. Comes back up to Panenkas. It's the goal. It's top. Oh! And their talisman's got another one. City back quick. Jay King. Oh, what a shot! My goodness me. Oh, can't teach that sort of stuff. Sends it in. Keeps it low. And it's gone in. It's gone in. LA Uni have scored. In time added. Tries to get under control, and the shot from Tolland! Salisbury into it, 2-0 up!
Still Butler with another chance, it's 2-1 to Playford! Persistence has paid off for Playford!
Long puts the keeper, puts it into the bottom corner. Beach gives him a shoulder after that as well. He's lost his clean sheet, and he's lost his head with a red card! David, this is massive!
To make the girls sing and the geezers too, yeah, we're doing this thing.